Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, everybody, good morning. Welcome to this special edition of Coffee and Darts. I know I haven't been with you guys in a while. Of course, we're in the process of moving. As you can see behind me, there's a bunch of junk laying around. We actually will have this place completely packed up next week, and we are moving to the Knoxville, Tennessee area in May, but in the meantime, I get to live with my in-laws, which I'm excited about because I like my in-laws. They're pretty cool. All right, so I know I haven't been on in a while, and I do apologize. I have grand dreams of making something much bigger and better, but just to give you a little update of where things are at, and then we'll dive into the conversation that I had with Devon Petersen. Hey, Charlie. Good afternoon from the UK. Good morning from the US. So a couple things that I have going on or that are going on is I'm going to be doing a lot more with Championship Darts this year with their tournaments. So been working with them on that. And we are talking about taking this show and turning it into myself and one or two other people with Champ Darts and making it a weekly darts show where we talk about what's going on with Champ Darts and, of course, what's going on in the darts community. So, good morning, Jason. It is nice to be back. So, again, before we dive into this conversation that I had with Devon the other day, which was phenomenal, I'm still giddy and just geeked up about the fact that I got to sit down and talk with him. And it was a great time. It really is. You'll see that in this interview. There are two things I want to point out real quick that happened in the interview. One, we talk about Wayne Mardle and, basically I make a comment in regards to Wayne that it wasn't as well thought out. It wasn't a dig on Wayne in any way, shape, or form, because I think Wayne's a great guy. But Devon does kind of come to his defense, and it got me thinking, and I dug into Wayne a lot more, his career, which I hadn't done, and did realize, wow, this guy was a much better player than I had given him credit for. So I just want to give that credit up. And I actually just started listening to his new book, and it's now available in the US. It wasn't when it first released, and I'd kind of forgotten about it. I went ahead and downloaded the audio version the other day. I'm halfway through it. Great book. So huge props to Wayne. I'm trying to get Wayne on the show because I think that would be a blast. He can certainly have some fun with the soft tip that we love to play here. But other than that, the other comment that I want to make real quick. Good morning, Peter. He seems like a damn nice human being, Peter. Especially listening to his book, which he reads, I am geeked out to have him on the show if I can make that happen and have him get to meet him at some point in time, like actual sit down, talk face to face, not just the run in Vegas where you're like, hey, and he's like, hey, and that's about it. The other thing that you'll see in this interview with Devon is I talk about how great American darts is at getting behind things, how we like to support things. And of course, Devon has always been doing things for kids and helping out. He's very charitable, and he's got some new stuff in the works. And I mentioned that, and I mentioned that I'll post some stuff down below in regards to that. He and I afterwards were talking about it, and he said he's really not 100% ready. He's got some stuff with SHOT coming up. So you're not going to see those links, but I will let you guys know as soon as I know about them. He said he'll email me. We've been emailing back and forth. We actually kind of came up with an initiative that we think we may want to try and push. Peter, I'll talk to you about that later. So you'll hear that and see that, but I do want to at least express upon you guys that I'm putting the challenge out to American Darts that we will get behind and support the darts community like we always do. All right, so without any further ado, let's get into my call with Devon Petersen. All right, so everyone, I've got Devon here with me. He is recently signed with SHOT Darts, and we're going to ask him a little bit about that. We're going to ask him about what it's like working with Wayne Mardle, being South Africa's only PDC player currently. And as you guys know, here in America and North America, well, not Canada, we can't talk about the North Cadians because, they've got John Part. But we're finally getting into getting on the PDC and seeing some of the American players like Danny Baggish get out there and start playing. So we're going to ask a little bit about that. But first, Devon, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks a lot for having me, and it's an absolute pleasure. It's I think it could be the first time I've ever been interviewed by a podcast or a show like this from America. So yeah, I mean, in South Africa, it's called the American Dream. It's getting interviewed by an American. So yeah, it's a pleasure being here.
Well, I'm excited. Like everybody watching knows, inside I'm going because I'm so excited to talk to you, because you are absolutely one of my favorite darts players. I just love the energy that you bring to the game. I love the passion, the joy for kids, which is a big thing for me. So I'm just so excited to have you on the show. So
thanks a lot. I mean, you've just touched like loads of things, and I think darts is an extension of my personality. So I play okay. I do my bit on the board, and then it just allows you to it opens up doors that previously probably wasn't as accessible as if I wasn't probably a elite sportsman. It just gives me an opportunity to be on stage and just show my personality as I do. So I appreciate your support, and saying that I'm one of your favorite.
Oh, definitely. And like I mentioned earlier, my son, Dylan, who everybody, most people that watch the show know who he is. He absolutely adores you, loves you. We get excited when we watch you play. And he loves your walk on and the dancing and all the fun and the mirror action and all that. He's kind of emulated that. You and Michael Smith are his two ultimately favorite darts players. So
I think with the dance itself, it's something that kind of attaches a lot of people to before the darts itself. So it's probably no secret, but I do like dancing as well, and I'm happy that Dylan is a fan as well, and I'm sure that darts will probably help his counting and stuff as well. So and I know that he's a young aspiring player and probably become a professional, and you'll be crying tears of joy when that does happen. And another American to the scene.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because I'm gonna manage him, and I'm gonna I'm gonna make money off of him. So you're
allowed to though.
Exactly. I can't make money now playing, but I can make money off him playing. So that's the key. So I will tell you, because he likes me to mention this, he has beaten me, I think, 56 times legitimately.
Wow. Where nobody's counting. He's not even counting, is it? Probably got like marks on the wall or stuff like that, just making sure that it's 56.
Oh no, he'll tell me. He'll look me dead in the face like, I beat you 56. And like we'll play 301 and I'll have a bad day and he'll just kill it. He's beat me in 501. He beat me in cricket once. But he's good. He's a good little player, and so he's fun.
Yeah, that's great though. I mean, I remember me as a kid growing up, I aspired to be as good as my dad. My dad was a local kind of top player in our area, and he won the singles event twice, which was tough at the time because at that time it was called unions, like you guys have leagues. We had one of the strongest in South Africa, and still when I played, even we still had one of the strongest. I played in those teams as well. So my dad was when I started beating my dad, I kind of felt like I was on top of the world. But obviously that every mountain has its level. So I was just getting to this first mountain, which is beating my dad, and probably that was part of the inspiration for me to go on and achieve greater and better things.
Nice. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I know we're going to get into talking about you signing with Shot, and we're going to take a look at some of your barrels. And then I'm doing in-depth reviews on them over the next couple of days. But how did you get into darts? So your dad played, but can you talk a little bit about that and coming from like South Africa and coming over to the PDC? Because that's a big jump coming that direction. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's in our family. I mean, my dad, he played he started playing when he was 11. He's got like, I think it's 7 brothers, and they kind of played together, and it was a growing movement, and it changed the way in which they communicated and bonded, because I think that bonding happened a lot over the darts, and my grandpa played as well. So they signed up to a team, and darts just kind of runs in the family. So every time you get to an event or a family event, there's always a dartboard. So cousins and the uncles all get together and we play. And so there's internal competitions. And I think that my love for the sport was just simply because it was always pleasant. It's a very easy, accessible sport. And you look at things like that, and that's probably the inspiration if I were to look back. And now I appreciate those moments because it was one of the times that I only saw my grandpa play. And he wasn't an amazing player, but he obviously kicked it all off for the generations to come. And yeah, my dad was one of the better players in the family, and I was lucky enough to kind of have a role model like that. And I see those kind of things as what started the progression. And then we had the apartheid and the group areas movement act, and then they all moved to Mitchell's Plain, which was seen as an underprivileged area. But because all of those people that generally they all come from a factory kind of working background, so darts was always part of that. And then there was a Mitchell's Plain league that started, which was where I'm from, and it quickly became one of the strongest kind of teams in South Africa because they used to play at nationals. And it was a segregated national, so whites and blacks basically. My dad obviously fell on the colored and black side. So yeah, so that when that merged, then that gave me an opportunity later down the line to obviously compete on a national scale where there was no segregation and apartheid. So yeah, it's darts is basically in our veins. It's what I grew up seeing my brothers playing, not at a high level. My nephew started playing as well. Now he competed in the qualifiers, which it's purely because he sees me competing at a high level, and it's been in the family. So yeah, I think it's darts is a very addictive game. And the crazy thing about it is it can be in your garage that you have a board and you can still aspire to be a professional. You don't have to have the fancy setup. You don't have to have the fancy darts unless it's the Devon Petersen darts. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's one of those sports that you can go from it's garage to grand stage in a season, really, and I've seen that happen with loads of people. So yeah, it's a sport that obviously runs through veins, and the Petersen brand in South Africa is a strong one.
So just out of curiosity, like, so in South Africa, darts, you know, a number of us, of course, with social media, we've been able to connect with people in other countries. We've had that opportunity through things like Grandboard and Dart Connect to start playing people elsewhere. How is it growing in South Africa? And I know you're a big part of getting this sport to grow and to grow in schools. How is it growing? How are things going in that realm?
I think in South Africa, I mean, the top management from the amateur perspective, the Dart South Africa, it's still kind of at loggerheads, if you must call it that, with regards to because there's a lot of wanting to claim and own the sport instead of just looking at it from a development perspective. But saying that, the sport has seen growth. Our membership or amateur membership in South Africa is around about 6,000-7,000, I think it is, and I'm going to be launching my my academy in April as well. So that's going to look at a area of the amateur side that it's not currently looking at, which is the kids under the age of 18, and kind of creating a channel for them to aspire to become these professionals that they see on TV. And I think that, like you mentioned, I mean, the Dart Connect and all these virtual kind of the boards, the softer boards that connect everybody into the Dart realm. I mean, those things are not kind of really accessible in South Africa. So online darts, this lockdown was probably a revelation, and it changed the way in which people in South Africa connected, and it connected the world to South African dart players. And I see a lot of players still on the circuit as well, like on the NACA and Dart Connect and all of those, like different apps as well. And I mean, there's tournaments in different parts of the country, in the world, and a lot of South Africans are entering these now. And previously, obviously, that never existed because the online dart scene wasn't really that strong in South Africa, or wasn't that connected. But yeah, I think you look at the way in which it's moving, the broadcasting of the PVC, the money that's injected, the aspirations that, or the opportunities that it gives other players from South Africa and other communities that are not seen as dart powerhouses like Europe and US and Australia. It's the smaller countries now that are coming to the fore as well. So yeah, I think you look at the growth in South Africa and globally, it's all to do with the professionalism of darts in PDC and how they've obviously moved it, and it's kind of given us an opportunity to look at it from and structuring a professional structure in South Africa and Africa, so that we give more players the opportunity to travel and come over and kind of explore all the abilities and talents that they have.
Nice. And Devon, I want to kind of just show you something about American darts and the community of darts. Because right now, I'm going to throw this out there to everybody watching this. You're starting an academy. I'm going to make the assumption that there's a place where people can do something, help out in regards to this academy or help you get going. So I'm going to throw that out there to all of those that are in America that watch this, Europe that watch this, and everybody somewhere during the show, or it'll be down below in the comments. But, Devon, if you've got some place where people can go and support, donate, buy something that's going to help out, I want to get that out there. And we're going to show you here in America how much we love the darts community. Is there a place that people can go currently, or is there going to be something soon?
Yeah, so we're setting it up obviously from the bottom up and not having anything before like this. We wanted to set it up before COVID, and then COVID hit, and then that kind of stumbled along now. And 2 years later, we're now at the point where we've booked a venue. Everything is now sorted out for the whole entire season, and we're going to get players from South Africa, 5 of the top players in the academy, to compete in the JDC World Cup in Gibraltar. So it'll be the first time a team from South Africa or Africa represents. So yeah, we definitely we'll set up the GoFundMe pages. There's opportunities for me to collab with people in the US as well to create the Devon Petersen Academy there, as well as Nigeria. And my entire goal is to have a Devon Petersen Academy on each continent, simply because there's a place for kids to actually funnel or channel into becoming a professional dart player if that doesn't exist in that current darting community. So we're definitely going to structure it, and the way it will structure is it's not going to go into only South Africa, but it will go into the entire Devon Petersen community, so academy community. Yeah, so.
All right, so I'm going to put a link, and I know that Anthony Eugenia from CDC, or Championship Dart Circuit, is watching this right now, because he watches every one of these. So Anthony, we need to get you and Devon connected so that we can bring the Devon Petersen Academy to Champ Darts and make that happen. So I'm going to just throw that out there. I want to talk a little bit about shot. So yeah. Let's get into that, because I know you've switched over to shot, and I am a huge shot fan. I have loved just what they make. I say it's artwork we get to throw. And everybody over there, from Peter to Emma to just everybody involved in shot darts, loves the sport. They love the community. They love the players. And I'm so happy that, they've got someone like your caliber in here playing. Can you talk a little bit about that transition to shot? And then we're going to look at your barrels.
So I think there's a history with shot in South Africa, because they sponsored the World Cup. I think it was 1999 Darts World Cup under the name of Puma, and then obviously expanding to shot. And it's been a constant. We've been in contact, myself and Peter, for probably a few years, and every time he's reached out, I've already moved on to a new company. So previously, before I signed with Unicorn, Peter messaged, and I've already committed. Then I committed to Trinidad, and then this time around, when Peter came, I spoke to my management. I said, let's have a chat with Peter, because I think that Shot is an amazing company, and I think that the brand is aligned with what I feel my character represents. And it's also about what the brand represents. And Shot is a storytelling brand. And like you say, it's art that we throw. And looking at the designs and just the thought process and all of the kind of expertise they have with designs and grip design and cuts and all of these things, and everything looks so unique. I mean, it's not like picking up a normal set of darts that you can get anywhere from Sports Direct or online shops and stuff like that. That it's shot dart simply by you looking at it and going, this is some sexy equipment, you know what I mean? Some sexy tungsten. So yeah, it was it was a match made in heaven. And I think that after meeting with the entire team, like Pete and Emma and Joey and everybody else, that obviously from the design team, we went through the designs of the darts, which over the lockdown period was great simply because it gave us a lot of time to focus on it. And I think the true essence of the warrior spirit came through in the darts as well, and just getting the themes right. Emma went through a long kind of look at how are we going to tell the Devon Petersen story, which is everybody does have a story, and we understand that everybody has a hill that they have to climb and a valley that they fell deep down in, and we all come from different backgrounds that obviously give you inspiration and motivation. And we look at me being as the lone wolf from Africa on the tour itself, and Shot just kind of came out with a unique concept that blew my mind. And yeah, the grip design was the one thing for me that kind of gives me a feeling when I grip, when I hold the dart or look at the dart. There's almost a marriage between man and tungsten at the time. You know what I mean? There's an attraction to. It's not just a piece of metal that you throw and you look at it, and it's not just a tool that you use. It's actually, you look at it and you think, this is my story, and there's that motivation and feeling that you want to aspire. Even though I want to always aspire to greater heights, but just using the dart battle and being aligned with Shot just makes me want to aspire to be even more greater in the sport.
Well, yeah, I'm going to take a look at some of these. These are great. And again, Shot does incredible work on tungsten. It's amazing what they do. It's not circular cuts constantly, just, sharp grip type stuff. There's these axile cuts and things. So I've got all three sets that you guys have kind of designed. I know one in particular is the one that you're using. I'm gonna start off with the Wisdom, which I think this is cool. So guys, this is the box. Let me see if I can get that to focus. So there's the box. That's a good looking box, man. That's super clean. So nice. But this is the barrel, and this is an 80%. So you guys can see this real quick. Kind of,
that's nice. That is
beautiful.
Super.
It's oh man.
It's crazy. It's crazy you showing it, right? And I'm falling in love with it again.
See if I can get that to focus.
Yeah,
I mean, look at that thing. Man. It's beautiful. Now, this is an 80% tungsten. It's kind of it's a little fatter in the middle there. It tapers away at the ends, but man, this is beautiful. This one's grippy. This one, to me, has a little bit more grip than the one that you play with, and I think it's because there's no axile cuts in this one. It's fairly traditional, but really beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Look at that flight. I mean, that thing's.
I think awesome. The grip itself is a double-edged shark tooth grip, and I think that the design of it is simply for. I'm not going to say the beginner, but I'm saying the player that's now moving from the room or the pub and wanting to compete. So finding a set that is comfortable, that is easy to throw, that is where the design and the standing comes. And yeah, I think they've knocked it out of the park, especially with the design on the dart as well. That was the first time that I've ever experienced that kind of push with a laser cut on it, it's just phenomenal.
I call it tattooing. It's like they tattooed.
That's
the
exactly
dart.
what it is. And when they said that they could do it, my mind, because I'm quite creative by just mentality wise and just thinking all the things that you could do with a dart design like that. And yeah, we explored loads, and this one came out the sexiest, and even the flight design, it's fantastic. It's a lot of what I am and what I represent.
Yeah, I love this flight. This is beautiful. So very cool looking dart. And 80% tungsten, and people kind of get into this, I gotta have a 95% versus a 90. And to be honest, it's really not. The weight's the weight. It's the longevity of the grip. Your 80% are going to wear down a little bit. But if you're playing an 80% and you're getting groupings that are that close, it's time to spend a couple bucks more and move up to a 90% tungsten so they last a little longer. And then we've got the courage that helps you kind of get to that. So like we've got this. Look at this box, guys. This is awesome. Devon just looking, man, you look intense there. It's cool though, man. That's awesome. So this is
I
the
think
dart.
each of the themes of the darts also comes. It's there's a story with the theme as well. Like the courage is like you say, is when you're upgrading from when you're buying the wisdom set, and there's the reason why it's called the wisdom set is when you're wise enough to kind of compete. And when you're moving up to courage, it's simply because you're finding the courage now to go up another notch in your game, and knowing that you're going to have to look at a different style that will then give you the opportunity to perform a lot better with longevity in the dart itself.
And you get these really nice exile cuts right in here. I mean, this
Yeah.
thing's grippy. This has got some grip on it. I like it. Wow, that's a beautiful dart. It's got the koi shafts, and I'm going to talk a little bit of shafts and flights because I think that you're still using the axe.
I am, yeah.
Which I'm a huge fan. That's what I play with. I love the axe.
Yeah,
flights and
flight
shafts.
system.
So,
I think that's something that I found to be a part of the success that I had in 2020, and it's one part of my equipment that I'm not reluctant to change, but I just don't think that is the key element. I think bringing the Condor axe in and kind of marrying it with the shot, there was a whole host of conversation and a lot of scientific looks at the physics and how the dart travels through the air and the length. And that will obviously bring you on to the next one, which is the greatness. And that for me is the one that's going to deliver my greatness.
So this is the box. This thing's beautiful. Look at this right here, this lion right there. You know, you got that African lion that's just hanging out there. This is a beautiful, just an incredible looking box. And then this dart, oh my gosh, guys. I keep talking about designing a new dart, and Devon, I'm going to steal some stuff from you for sure. This thing is beautiful. Get that to focus in, but I mean, let me take this out of you. This gold and black and just the axile cuts. This is beautiful. Oh my gosh.
So there's actually a story with the grip cut though. So it's not just that we looked at changing the way in which and not just having a circular kind of grip out. That is called the Itwa grip, right? And that is it comes from Shaka Zulu inventing taking the long spear that they used to be combat with and changing it into a short spear, so for close combat. And the sound, the Itwa, is the sound, the name of the grip, or the name of the invention from Shaka Zulu is actually the sound the spear makes when it comes out of your body.
Oh, wow.
Which is, yeah, it's quite intense. It's and that's where we went, because we were looking at how we're going to tell the story, the African story, through the dart itself. And we looked at the Khoi, we looked at the San, the original people from South Africa and Africa. And then I went through a warrior spell of looking at,
I'm going to let you keep talking.
What is the best kind of information that we can give, or best story we can actually give to people regarding the grip, and the Itwa is just where it's at. It's what
Sorry,
it is.
I had to do that. I had to throw them, man. Those things are incredible. Oh my gosh. Okay, I love
Crazy.
shot, and I'm a huge if you ever watch one of my videos, I'm like, that is, guys, that's the best. That's the best barrel shots ever done. Down. It's better than mine, bar none.
I appreciate that. It's hard work. That was so another key factor in that battle is my length of my point and my flight shaft length. They've created the balance point for me so that my dart trajectory can be a certain angle every time it hits the board, and that for me was kind of just another level up from what I've experienced previously. People design darts, you look at darts and go, this is beautiful. But as a tool and needing to have a tool to obviously achieve greatness, that's going to be my tool to achieve my greatness.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful dart. It feels really comfortable. It looks like it's super aggressive, like the Warriors that shot does. But it wasn't as super grippy. It didn't feel as grippy as the other two, in my opinion. And I think it's those axile cuts. but it was just smooth. That, like, when we get done with this, I'm probably going to spend the rest of the day just throwing that barrel. That's so
That's
nice.
cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. So you're finally was shot. You've got this great dart. You've been able to, create with them. What was that process like? I mean, because everybody wonders, like, I get the question, hey, can I just create a barrel and send it to someone and they'll make it? And I'm like, there's a little more to it. What was the process like for you?
So I think for Shot and me having a barrel company already at the time, we looked at the current barrel that I had, and I played with two different lengths. So one was a 50 mil, and the other one was a 55. And the 55 kind of came on was the second barrel. I was comfortable with it, but there was things with my wrist that needed the tendons, and it wasn't giving me the performance that I needed. So we went back to the 50 mil, and then Shot asked me kind of in-depth questions about what I actually wanted to achieve with the dart. And I requested that the balance point be in a specific area simply because I wanted the trajectory, gave them the full length, made them understand why it's that length. And we then worked towards it. I gave them the full length and they just kind of adjusted it slightly and created perfection. I mean, the balance that I feel, I don't know if it's exactly the same dart as the packaged one, but I think that obviously I play with the same looking dart as well, so I think the grams might be different. 21.8 gram that I play with, simply because it's a preferred weight. Not a lot of push needs to go through there, and just the symmetry of it and just the cut, and like you say, it's not aggressive. It doesn't kind of stick in your hand. It just flows out and it just flies beautifully. And I've been playing with it now for near on 3 months now, and I feel like I'm about to hit the ground running. Things are really happening for me, and I think that 2020 was my great season, and that's what kind of put me where I am right now. Obviously all the years of battling and fighting and being in the top 64 and 50 and all of those, but I think that was my breakthrough season. Now with the Shot darts, I think it's just going to elevate me. That's going to seem like a platform now. That is where I'm going to go next level with the design. And I think that they've came up with a brilliant design, but that delivers not just on looks, not just on story, but on a performance level as well. So for me, I'm the happiest man right now. And a lot of people have been asking, like in interviews, like, so what's going to happen with Devon? Where do you see yourself? And I say multiple world champion, because I know when I throw these darts correctly, I will be there.
Well, and that's the attitude you got to have in sport. Like, I never go in, I don't care if I'm playing Matt Campbell or who I'm playing. I expect to beat everybody I go up against. I don't, but I expect to. So it's kind of the mentality.
I hear you.
So speaking of PDC and your placement and the growth, I want to talk a little bit. I mean, currently you're ranked 25th, which is a huge achievement in itself to have gotten there. This year with new darts, we've kind of come out of the pandemic era where people are back to playing. It's almost, back to kind of how it was for the most part. Do you see a jump? Is there a goal? Is it like top, 16 is there, or do you work in that pattern where you're trying to get to, like, I know Matthew Edgar always has a number that he tries to get to every year. Do you see yourself doing that, or is it, I just want to go play and at the end of the year, we'll see where the cards lay?
Yeah. So my entire, I don't have a specific goals like that. Like, my every single year when I start the season, I want to get to the world champs. That's the number one goal, and win the world champs. The tournament's coming up. Before that, obviously, it's an entire season, and that's kind of where you create your building blocks. It's where you find your confidence. It's where you find your flow. At this point in time, I know that the season started slightly slow for me, but qualifying for the Europeans, I think I qualified for, out of the 5, I qualified for 4 so far. So yeah, I feel like I'm solid. I feel like my game is great. I think this weekend pass, I played like probably a C plus B minus game, and my percentages on my 180s and stuff were creeping back to where it was in 2020, and I'm not even fully back yet. So I'm expecting fireworks this season, and yeah, I'm not going to say I want to be in the top 16, because if you win the worlds, you'll probably be in the top 4. So yeah, I think my main goal is only to win the worlds, and every other tournament that comes before that or after that is a bonus.
Nice. I love it. So Peter Wright, watch out, buddy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't even like Peter Wright. This weekend wasn't amazing. And you look at things like that happened to Gowan Price, a freak accident, and he's out of tournaments. Nathan Aspinall also kind of slightly injured, coming from after the Worlds and trying to stay away and kind of fix himself. So there's a lot of things that's happening in darts at the minute now, and I feel like my time is there to shine. So
yeah, Gerwin's hand, I saw a picture of it. It
looked like a balloon.
Yeah, he needs to take punching lessons from Michael Smith, because apparently Michael Smith can hit things, and no, we won't go there. So, well, I'm excited whenever I see you come out and play. And I know you've been in the World 7 times, and you've done well over the last couple of years as you've progressed in the world of darts. I'm excited to see where you end up. I'm kind of curious because we know you were playing, and then you kind of hooked up with this guy Wayne Mardle, who, by the way, is kind of an idol for me. You know, just I love his mouth. And the ability that he has to get away with stuff.
You are one of the very few people that say that they love them.
I
a lot of people
him,
like I think Wayne is misunderstood, but he's a great guy.
Oh, he's a great darts player, and I love his sense of humor and where he's at. I think he's so good for the game. I think like people like Gerwin Price are great for the game. You know, that little bit of controversy just brings it. I love it. You worked with him on your throw. He's been a big piece of kind of helping you get there. Is he like that in real life? And what's it like, you know, having him kind of as a coach?
Yeah, I think, we still work together. I just texted him before I obviously came on the call with you, and then I'm going to obviously read what he said, but he's a fun character. I mean, his philosophy is fun and informative. If you don't find it fun, please find it informative. So he's that kind of guy. I mean, whether he's on the oki, whether he's behind the mic on the comment, or when you're just meeting him in for coffee, is the same. And I mean, our coaching style that we have when we do meet each other, it's all about fun. It's talking about games, and he's always enthusiastic. He brings that energy. There's another guy that we added, or I added to the team, which is Chris White. He does my throw analytics, if you must call it that. So we've kind of worked our way to literally plotting every single point that I need to do to achieve the best possible throw, and not every single double, but there's areas on the board as well that I need to be marked out to stand to achieve this. So we're working on all of those things, and Chris was instrumental on that. But Wayne's is so insightful, and just the knowledge that you would think that he's like a box of frogs, like just crazy and all over the place, but so knowledgeable and so wise as well at the same time. And I mean, the advice that he's given me over the years, I go back 2018, I think it was, when we first hooked up, and since then it's been it's just been it's more like I'm not even gonna say a friendship really. It's more like a I don't know. I class Wayne as family, really, if you must call it that, because he's been a big part of my career, and probably at the best and at the worst at the same time. And yeah, he's just always been a pillar in my like a pillar in my career, and a guy I can turn to in my corner. And I know that he's always going to tell me straight if I'm deluded, if I'm crazy, if I'm unrealistic, if I'm good, then he'll say all of those things. And this is in one text message as well. So that will give you the understanding of what Wayne Mardle's like. But yeah, he's always there, and he's always a great energy to have around.
He's fun. Like, so when you come up to the Aki and you're playing, and he's got the opportunity to be the commentator for that, we can see the relationship. And as someone that's watching, as a fan, it's kind of fun knowing that he's coached you, because he'll make comments. He'll get mad at you. Like, he'll be like, no, you should have gone for, the 360, or, this or that. It's kind of fun, because it's like he's almost coaching you, even though he's in the commentator box and you guys can't hear each other or see each other. But it's fun to know that, and to kind of listen to him on that.
I think he does that tactfully as well, because he knows I do a lot of video analysis of my darts, of my games as well. So when he's doing that, it's when I watch it back. So when I get to the hotel, whether it's a good game or bad game, he would be giving me coaching advice whilst doing his job, which is a great job. And that's why he's the lead man at Sky Sports Darts. So yeah, I think it's a perk having him in the commentary booth when I'm playing. But yeah, he'll always make sure that I know exactly what I did right and what I did wrong as well.
That was going to be a question: is do you go back and watch that, and is he kind of, is that in a sense not just for us watching, but more for you? And you've answered that. Do you have to pay him extra for that one though? Is that like, don't tell him that, because he'll charge.
Yeah. So Wayne's price doesn't come cheap, but I think I get a family discount as well, because I've been working with him for so long. So yeah, but I don't know if he intentionally does that for me, but I think it's like that. I've never actually asked him, and I'm going to be in Rotterdam for the Premier League this coming week on Thursday. So I'll probably ask him as well, because I've always, like you now just alluded to, I have the same kind of mindset. Like, okay, so he's just said that, and then you kind of look at that. So I'll rewind the clip to see what I done a mistake, and then I'll go practice that and make sure that I try not replicate the same mistake, or not as bad or as obvious. So yeah, I'm happy to have him in my corner for that reason as well.
Yeah, and I think something people don't understand is Wayne. I would be willing to bet my kid's life on it, at least one of them, that he's doing that for you, because Wayne is so much smarter than people give him credit for.
Yeah,
he is brilliant. I mean, I've just watching him over the years. Now he would eat me alive, and it would be fun. I would love to get him on this show and just go back and forth in the banter and let him, tear up soft tip, why I tell him soft tip is better than steel tip, and we could get into that. But he is so much smarter when it comes to darts and reading a person. And I don't know how much football you watch as far as American football goes, because I know there's a difference, soccer, football. We have a quarterback that's now in the commentating booth, Tony Romo, and he will literally call the play. Like, people will line up to play, and they had to pull him out of the booth because he was calling the play before it ever happened, and the other team was listening in, and they were saying, hey, it's going to be a pass, it's going to be a run. That's how I look at Wayne Mardle. Is he just he knows everything.
It's actually annoying as well, because he's very it's very seldom that he's wrong, and when you think he's wrong, is actually not. It's just that you've misunderstood what happened. So yeah, it's quite annoying, because he'll tell you something, and this is an example, right? So he told me to do something probably 7 months ago. I didn't do it, simply because at that time I was working on something else. And he doesn't hop on it all the time, but he knows that I'll keep it and then it will come out at some point. And I text him about that, and it came out today that I actually had to do that. So yeah, 7 months ago he told me that I needed to align myself in a certain way for a certain target, and I did it today for the first time.
He's a character, and I love him, and he's great for the sport. So I'm glad that he got off the hockey, because I think he's a better commentator. And that's my opinion. I know I'm going to get in trouble for that one.
Do you know that it goes under so that statement, right? So everybody thinks like you, simply because obviously I'm a dart fan, but Wayne Mardle played probably in the worst era of sport of the darting game, simply because of the dominance of Phil Taylor. If it wasn't for Phil Taylor, I bet you Wayne would have probably won a few majors. The one world champs that he did lose when he beat Phil Taylor, that one he still loses sleep over. He's still, if you mention it, he's quite bitter about that. But yeah, I think that it was tough for anybody to win in that era. And like Terry Jenkins, they say that he's the bridesmaid, and yeah, he came up sick and all the time and all of this stuff. He played against Phil Taylor a lot of the time, so there's not a lot of people that have massive victories or tournament victories against Phil. So yeah, it's a tough kind of label to have, and like they say, Wayne never won anything. Wayne won a few pro tours. He won a few tournaments as well, I think, in the US. So he's definitely shown, and there was a long period of time where he was top in the ranks on the pro tour. So yeah, I think where majors concerned, yeah, he might not have won a major, but he was definitely in a tough era of the sport itself.
And I completely agree with you. I've watched some of what's out there with him. He is a phenomenal darts player. And I do forget, Phil Taylor was so dominant. There were so many good players that never got that opportunity just because he was so dominant. And it shows how good Phil Taylor really was. My thing with Wayne is, John Park's trying to come back, and John's like 90 years old. I think Wayne has an opportunity. He could go to Q school, put up with all the BS, and get back out on tour. You think he'll do it?
The thing with Wayne is that we speak a lot about it as well, because we still do a lot of exhibitioning together, and he's fantastic at exhibitioning. Like, still throws loads of 180s, blows darts out of his mouth, which is the amount of talking that he does is like throwing it with your arm. So yeah, but he says that the grit that he has for the game, like when the game gets tough, and he just doesn't have the stomach for it. He doesn't have the guts for it. He doesn't have. So he says he doesn't want to go up there and not know that he's going to win, because that's his mentality. So he's not just going to go there just to compete. And saying at the level, like the way in which his life is moved now, he can do a lot more than what he could do as a dart player, because as the dart schedule is, and if you want to compete for long periods on the tour, you have to play all the tournaments, and that's virtually like probably 30 odd weekends out of the year. So it's tough though, and Wayne obviously knows where his bear's battered and knows where he's kind of stronger. So doing exhibitions, doing Sky, doing all of these things, and then he's still got time to do holidays and stuff. We don't really get holidays. The only holidays you get is I think it's Jan, and that's a few weeks. So yeah, it's tough, and he knows, but he also knows that he can compete though. He can compete, because in some exhibitions he's still beating a lot of the pros as well. So yeah, we get to see that. You guys, we don't get to see that, obviously.
Yeah, unfortunately, and here in America we don't. I'm a huge fan of his, and I know he can play darts. He wouldn't be the person that he is in the community of darts if he couldn't play darts. And for people to say something, or they don't understand darts at all, because I've watched some of his stuff. He is magical when he's on it. So yeah, not to take anything away from him, I love him as a commentator. I just love who he is with that. And no, we don't get to see the exhibitions, unfortunately. Hopefully, as darts grows here in America.
I'm coming to the US as well, and doing some in Canada in August. I'm doing some exhibitions there, so I'm excited for that. And I'm sure Wayne at some point will also look to travel. Once invited. But yeah, I think there's like and it's a shame actually, because I'm sure that there's a lot of players that would travel to the US and give you guys some entertainment for evenings on end, simply if they just got the invite. So yeah, I think the US side is probably yearning for a Wayne Mardle exhibition, because when he throws the 180, he runs around the entire building, no matter how big. I've been in stadiums with him where there's 4,000 people. He'll jump off the stage and run around. It takes him about five minutes, touch everybody's hand, come back, and then it's his turn to throw again, and he's out of breath. But yeah, it's part of the game and just part of the entertainment. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I've seen that on some videos, and I think it would be fun. We should get him to the Garden. Like when the PDC comes to the Garden this year, we should have him, and hopefully he'll hit a 180 and he can run the Garden. So that would be quite interesting. So I would be in trouble if I didn't bring up Larry Butler being the only U.S. player to win a major. I would love to see Wayne come and Larry and Wayne go at it. I think that would be because I don't know if you've had an opportunity to meet Larry, but he's much more quiet and reserved. Yeah, I
have. At the World Cup, generally, I'll meet them as well. So Big Daddy as well, and all the US, and obviously now I've met with Danny Lauby, Baggish. I room with Baggish as well. So that's just a whole nother level as well. So yeah, it's crazy how the culture differences how culturally different we are, but we're the same, which is great. And I think that that's how the darting community is. We have one love for the sport, and everybody else that plugs into that sport becomes family. And it's like almost like rooming with a brother, or like a cousin or something, because it's just crazy, it's fun, and everybody just gets along. And I don't know if that's just me, but that's how I feel it.
Oh, I do. I think it's the sport of all sports that equalizes everything. It
Yeah,
equalizes no age, it equalizes sexes, it equalizes race, if you want to get into that, which I think is stupid.
of
I think it
course,
just
yeah.
equalizes everything in general, because it's you against yourself, 8 feet, technically 7 feet, whatever, and a
Right.
dartboard, and then the other person.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And I'm curious with that. I always like to ask this question with women coming into the PDC finally and starting to play. What's your take? I mean, in regards to that, is there an excitement in the PDC for all the ladies that seem to be coming in and starting to play? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, if I look at the quality, like Lisa Ashton getting a tour card, Fallon performing fantastically on the world stage, and other stages as well, if I'm honest, like the Grand Slam and all of those, and the World Series getting the final. Yeah, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, and just showing that the sport is inclusive. Just you have to be just as good as you possibly can be, and nobody will look at you for because you are a lady. But I think that a big step from the PDC is introducing the women's series, which is fantastic, and it gives everybody or women globally an opportunity to actually play as professionals as well. And for many years they've been overlooked simply because the sport, from a woman perspective, it hasn't seen the influx like the men's side has. But yeah, I think the PDC is just starting that, and generally, like they do, trailblazers in the community, and it will probably change, because even in South Africa, we're looking now at setting up a women's tournament that qualifies you to play and participate in some of the women's series, even because I think just that little exposure will go a long way, simply because once a girl growing up sees, like, I remember there's a lot of women in South Africa always talking about Fallon Sherrock, simply because she was the torchbearer for the women at the world champs, as well as Lisa Ashton. But because Fallon made such an impact, it now looked at, or changed the way in which girls at school see the sport as well. So they understand that there's somebody like them that is competing at the level, so they can aspire to be like that as well. So I think that it's a fantastic thing. And yeah, I think everybody in the sport itself is excited, simply because it now means that the sport is growing even bigger, which just makes us hopefully one of the biggest sports in the world.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's it's an equalizing sport. Every other sport, there's some difference between men and women. It's just how we're built. But when it comes to this sport or shooting, which is a sport that I like as well, it's equal playing field, and I love that. I'm excited about it. I look at Fallon being like, she broke the 4-minute mile, and once that happened, once someone saw that it could be done, everybody started doing it. So I think we're going to see a lot more women, getting tour cards and competing, and I'm excited about it. I really am.
Yeah, because I don't think that they shouldn't. So if I look at it, right, so women and men, I mean, throwing the dart, same distance. There's no change in the dart. There's no change in the lighting. Nothing has changed. The board, the trebles aren't bigger. It's all the same. It's just applying that kind of understanding and skill that you have, and ability, and or nurturing that skill or an ability. I mean, you look at Fallon and kind of being, and Lisa being almost in a sense like unique kind of talking points, if you must call it that they are the only two that stood out the way they did. Because Lisa, on the other hand, making history by being the first woman to actually get a tour card, which was phenomenal. Lisa played really well on tour, but you could just see that there's that extra. Sometimes she would be on her game, and you don't know like what obviously, if there's a lot of hours put into the game and stuff like it, because I can't obviously speak to her practice regime. But I think that from a competitive perspective, it's still that I always have the question of why women aren't as strong in a sense in the sport, because there's not a lot that divides us really. So yeah, I just hope that this women's series just kind of inspires them, and they put a lot more hours in front of the dartboard, and we see a lot more players.
Yeah, I think there's a big contingent of younger ladies that have seen this, and in the next 10 years, we'll see more women in the sport. It's going to broaden the sport. It's going to make it a lot more fun. I watched Lisa Ashton, who had a 160. She went 60, 50, 50. And that was amazing. That happened last year in a pro tour. And
Yeah,
I was like, she did it like it was nothing. And
yeah.
I
But
think for
she's top class now. Like, I've competed against her a few times, and she's taken me to the wire like a few times as well. So I know exactly. Like, it's not even a surprise like when she's playing really well, because she can easily average a ton, and that just shows you that it can be done. So yeah, like you say, it's going to invite a lot more women, and in 10 years time the pro tour will be, I don't think it will be like a balance, like a 50-50, but I think that the there will be a lot more representation of women on the tour.
I think so too. I think there will, and there's many different reasons as to why things happen and don't happen, and we don't need to get into all that. But
Of
I
course, yeah.
think, I will say for her and for Fallon, being the people that kind of broke through, there's a lot of pressure that goes into that, and I think as women come up, they need to be thankful for them taking that pressure on at first, because it's going to make the doors easier to get through. So I'm excited to see what happens with the women's game in the PDC and as things grow. I want to talk a little bit more. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to talk about the German Darts Championship. I want to talk about, playing in that tournament and kind of what the watching it on TV and watching the elation that you had, just the incredibleness of that final dart going in. What was that like? How did that feel? I mean, just take us through that a little.
I think it's probably, so if I were to go to that specific moment, it felt like it was an emptiness, simply because it was a continuation of 15 years of hard work and practice and putting in the hours and sacrifice and all of those things. And I think it was 2 weeks before that I missed an opportunity to beat Gerwin Price in the final, and then he came back and beat me. And I think that prepared me for that step. So simply, if you've not been over the winning line before, it thoughts run through your head, even though as a professional you've competed at different tournaments and probably won different tournaments from an amateur perspective, but just making your mark in the professional kind of realm is different, and especially against world-class athletes like we have on tour. So yeah, I think at that point in time, that getting that winning double felt like an emptiness, but the realization after retrieving it brought me near to tears, which is yeah, it's still kind of sends me to that same space. Like, you feel like there's an emotion that comes with it, simply because it's being the first African and understanding the effect it has, not just for Africa, but the smaller or minority nations that play the sport, and knowing that, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is. If you got a will to win and a drive, and you determine and you discipline and you put in the hours and the sacrifice, luck will be on your side, and you will achieve what you kind of speak into being. So I think where it's at is that was purely just an announcement that I made, like, as in I can win. It's something that I always knew, or something that I always believed, and I'm glad that it happened on the European stage. Well, any tournament in the PDC, but the European, like, if you win in the Pro Tour, I've not won a Pro Tour yet. I got close, but winning a Pro Tour is like, there's so many of them. That season there was only 4 European titles available, simply because of COVID, and I was one of them, which is I've only qualified for 2 that season, and the first one that I qualified for, I fortunately won. So I look at it now and feel as though that was my graduation from the hard work and all of those things, and understanding what it feels like to win. And now I can confidently say that I will be a world champ simply because that run in that tournament um, was a great run. But I feel like I've made so much mistakes in that games there that I could rectify and change and be even more dominant than I was that weekend. So, and even if you look at the players that I competed against, it's all uh, you got the likes of Gerwin Price, which is a world champ. You got Johnny Clayton, Danny Noppert now, obviously a major winner. Who else did I have there? There was Rob Cross, which was a world champ. So you look at all of those, and Jeffrey Deswan is the first game that I played, and he was a phenomenal player as well. So all of those things make you understand that, and it gives you the belief that what you are saying is true. Because sometimes we say stuff simply because you feel it, but not everybody can see it. So you say it, and some people go, they'll have an opinion of you. But because you have that stamp of approval that saying I've won a title, now what you say kind of has some kind of strength and concreteness about it, if you must call it that. So yeah, I feel like it's the one title that I've won that will define how my next titles come through, and I feel like a world championship title isn't far away.
Yeah, it's kind of like breaking the 4-minute mile. You've done it, you know it, you can do it, and now you just got to continue doing it. I'm going to throw out a question that might be a little controversial just because, but we've seen Michael Smith, who's come so close in so many big tournaments, and he just hasn't gotten that TV title, that big championship type thing. What do you think is the hold back for him, or is it just his desire to want it so bad that it kind of trips him up, or is it just that other players just put it on when they need to and he just doesn't get it there? I'm just kind of curious what your opinion is.
I think the titles that Michael has never been a favorite to win a title except the one against Danny Noppert at the UK Open. And I think that up and until that time, every time he played against an opponent, there was an opportunity to win, and the opponent would come back and they would then kind of find their best form. And Michael was always up against somebody that was playing their best form, where his throwing action also doesn't give him it gives him a good chance to win, but it doesn't give him the best possible chance, because under pressure, moving that quick without sighting the dart, it's not going to always, you're going to miss. And opportunities like that, or missing certain opportunities, could give the other opponents or your opponents an opportunity to kind of get an edge on you. So that could be a 2-leg, and that's where Peter obviously clicked in and threw that phenomenal 7-leg spat where it just went magic and ballistic. So yeah, but I think the one against Danny Noppert was one that got away from him. I think that was performance paralysis, but also very confident. And I'm not going to say it was overconfident, because he can be. He's been in a few title events. He's been in 2 world finals. So he knows exactly what it takes to get to a final. I think that one, he felt like Danny Noppert, obviously being who he is, probably didn't measure up to him. And Danny Noppert surprised him. And it's almost like a boxer. The best fighter, and then it's like the Anthony Joshua versus Ruiz fight. Anthony Joshua came in there quite cocky and all of that, and then Ruiz kind of took the fight to him, and that's what Danny Noppert did. And Danny Noppert didn't even play well in that final. He beat me, and we played really a great game. That game was just a fight in the dark, really. And I think that Michael panicked before, actually. So I think there's a lot of things that's happening mentally for him. And he needs help. He needs help, because performance paralysis can definitely occur a lot, and we've seen that so far before. And yeah, I mean, Terry Jenkins was one of them, but he was kind of plagued by the most dominant player in the history of the sport. But Michael Smith has had different opportunities to win against different players and come up second. So yeah, it's a tough one. I've never been in that position, so I can't really say like this is what he's going through. But I think what it looks to us is there's a slight bit of performance paralysis in the last event. The other ones, he just came up against better players in the day.
Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to Michael Smith, because again, my son loves him, so we watch a lot of him. When it came to Danny Noppert, he was positioned to beat Danny. He was the one that was supposed to beat him. It was Michael's time. I I think there's two things that come up against that. One, I think his throw is a little too fast. I think if he would take a step back and slow down a little, it would help him drastically. That's my personal opinion watching him.
Yeah.
And then Danny you never can rule him out. He's got a game, he's got a head on him, and he'll come after it. If you slip up a little bit, he'll find a way. He'll find a niche in the armor and come after it. I love Michael Smith. I think he just needs, like you say, it's kind of a head issue. If he would just take a breath, he doesn't have to throw all 3 darts so quickly. Take a breath, throw 2 of them. And then if you need that double, step back, take a breath, and then throw it.
But I think you'd argue that he's done it for so long, and it's brought him so much success. So, and this is the thing why Wayne Mardle isn't swamped by professional players for coaching, simply because dart players are stubborn. So you give them some coaching advice, they'll look at you and go, yeah, but what have you won? What have you done? So imagine football managers that haven't played, like the likes of like Arsene Wenger or Jurgen Klopp, haven't played at the elite level, but they were brilliant managers. Alex Ferguson, same thing. So it's the same kind of knowledge and understanding. So yeah, I think sometimes, I mean, he's probably got a lot of advice over the years from different sporting professionals and probably a lot of experienced dart players, but he just maintains that that's probably his best way to perform. And I think that because darts is such an individual sport that you can't really scientifically show that if you threw slower, it would be better, because he'd have to actually do that for you to show him. So yeah, it's a risk he doesn't want to take, and I guess that, I mean, he's going to be the only one to suffer in the end.
Yeah, I mean, eventually it's going to work out for him, but I think he would win more. There's a guy out there called Danny. Oh, I don't have his book here. Normally I have it in front of me. It's called With Winning in Mind. He was an Olympic shooter, and he figured out how to mentally calm himself, and he's got this incredible thing on how to just.
What is the book called? Because I like books like that.
It's called With Winning in Mind by Danny.
With Winning in Mind.
Oh,
I'll check it out.
I've got it on my phone. It's a phenomenal book.
I think you should definitely have it when you mention it. Have the book kind of come across the screen, because then, I mean, loads of people will jump at that though.
I'm packing because I'm moving. To Tennessee, and I'm trying to bring this thing up here. This is it right here. Focus. There we go. With Winning in Mind by Lanny Basham. I'll send you the contact stuff.
Cool.
But he was an Olympic shooter, won gold. He works with archers and rifle shooters and marksmen, and just helps them understand. Like, he does things where you'll sit in a dark room and you'll just mentally picture yourself shooting and hitting the bullseye. It's a lot of mental preparation.
Is that an audiobook as well?
Yeah, it's an audiobook as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So really good. But
it's something that I do often though, like not just from a dart playing perspective, but also exploring like the mind and the connections and all of those things. And books like that and information like that kind of changes the way in which you approach. And it's away from the dartboard itself. Like obviously Wayne has assisted me with my technical ability, but from a mental side, there's been a lot of meditation, a lot of exploring and understanding of how to be composed under pressure and all of those things. And this you find in books like that, and it's through connecting with people that they'll tell you, I've experienced this and this is the book I've read. And once you get that nugget, it kind of never leaves you.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to send it to you. Basically, I'll get your contact. I'm going to send it because I love the book, and I think darts players don't. I just don't think dart players go after the mental aspect as much. I think if you look at some guy that won 16 world titles, you would understand he spent more time working on the mental aspect than I think anybody gives it credit for. But
he doesn't share a lot, because I speak a lot to him though. He doesn't, like I've tried, like I've requested mentorship and he's obviously accepted, but he doesn't share the deep downs. He doesn't open up a lot, which is difficult because being like a 16-time like the GOAT of the sport. I mean, I've always idolized the man, and I still do. But yeah, he doesn't open up a lot. So I'd love to explore that side of him, and just it's a story that same like Eric Bristow. I mean, I'm reading his book currently now, and you get to see a different side and understand how the man's mental side worked, and it started from a young age as well. So yeah, I think darts is in the dark ages with regards to the understanding of the mental side, and the game is such a mental sport as well. Simply because so one small distraction can cause you to go off from playing your best darts to turning up to playing your worst, and yeah, it becomes a dark spiral that can hinder your performance for a long time as well.
For sure. And I think someone someday is going to really dive into it, because you look and I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I look at like Gerwin Price. He's been in the sport, 8 years, roughly. And he's a world champion. He was number one in the world. You look at Peter Wright and what he's gone through in the mental aspect, and there's so much more to it than what people grasp. Even those that are like myself, that are weekend warriors or that play, in pub leagues and things like that. There, what you guys go through and what the professionals deal with, and the aspect of really getting into the game is so much more than what we think about. And I'm hoping someone will dive much more into that.
Honestly, I've spoken to Peter Manley about it as well. And I said, I would love to be that guy to actually dive deep into it. It's just, obviously with my career, I'm documenting a lot of my journey. And kind of the mental aspect of it, so that I can speak about my once it's all there and I feel like it's ready to launch or whatever, then I would probably want to divulge all the information that I've gathered over the years, and hopefully that kind of unlocks and kind of taps into a kind of area that nobody's kind of really looking at right now. And yeah, maybe it changes the way in which darts are seen, because I feel as though there's such a scientific aspect of the game that's not being looked at as well. You look at the likes of golf, there's so many things like with swing, putting, understanding the lays, and just the mental aspect of, you talk about Tiger Woods' 3 steps after hitting a shot. It's that kind of understanding, but having that kind of coaching and psychological effects that kind of help you become an elite athlete. You look at Kobe Bryant as well. I mean, he had that work ethic like no one else, but also that mental aspect, that strength, and it comes from a lot of reading and understanding. And we know how educated and knowledgeable Kobe was, and yeah, he's one of my idols as well. So yeah, it's just a fantastic opportunity, and I feel like this sport is kind of like it's like a gold mine, really, that hasn't been or hasn't been discovered yet, and just needs to be tapped into.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's the sport that's about to launch itself into the stratosphere, and the money's going to be there, which everybody talks about. But I think there's just so much more to it that we're going to get out of this sport. And I'm excited to see where it goes over the next 10, 15 years. And I'm excited to see a documentary like that, like really that dives.
I can 100. Have you read the Eric Bristow book?
I have not. It's on my list.
I can 100%. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the book, a few opening chapters. He was a cat burglar, and the crazy. So he was a cat burglar that loved the sport, and the story that he tells in there, that him and a few mates broke into a house, right? And as they were ruffling through the cupboards and all of those things, he was smelling breakfast. I mean, like eggs and bacon and all of these, like a full English breakfast. He walked down and saw his mate cooking the breakfast. They were such nice burglars. They ate, they cleaned all the dishes, put it all away, packed it all away, and left, obviously, with what they took. And yeah, that was Eric Bristow. And when I read it, I could not stop laughing. The book is amazing. And I think that there is a Netflix movie or series like you can't believe. Like, yeah, but I know what you're talking about, like the documentary of the darts and the science and all of those things. Yeah. But yeah, I think that once you read so we will exchange. I'll try and send you the Eric Bristow book. and then you can send me the other one. So yeah, it will be a
for sure. I think Netflix, like they're doing F1. I think we need to get them to do darts the same way that they're doing F1.
I've tweeted them a few times about it though. Like check out the Eric Bristow book, this, because it just you can just see that. I wish that Eric Bristow was still alive, simply because that character needed to be played, but he has to make an appearance in it as well. So yeah, it's just crazy.
So, well, again, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know you've got a lot on your plate. You've got a lot going on with what you got doing with, and the tour is kicked off, and it's about to get really, really busy for you guys. Where I know you were doing some YouTube stuff and some social media stuff. Is that stuff you're going to continue doing, and where can people find you?
Yeah, so all my social media platforms, I'm on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've moved on to TikTok as well now. I've learned about TikTok, so we're creating a strategy for that, as each social media platform demands that. But yeah, we're looking to launch a Double D Lounge, myself and Danny Baggage, a podcast that's going to take you around the tour with us. We yet to find a perfect starting time, simply because we come from different areas to travel to where we are. So yeah, I think that is going to be it's called the Double D Lounge. Everything is set up, so that's going to be some fun aspects. And yeah, we'll talk darts and everything fun. But my social medias is Devon Petersen on Facebook, and I'm the Devon Petersen on Instagram, and I'm Devon Petersen on Twitter. So yeah, and I think it's the same for TikTok as well, Devon Petersen. So yeah, if you guys want to follow, DM for tips, talks. Yeah, and another thing that we haven't spoken about is the nutritional aspect. So I've lost loads of kilos. Like I think it's 23 kilos now. My target is 4 stone. I'm on 3 stones currently right now, and it's probably a big aspect of the sport now that also hasn't been tapped into. It's something that I actually forgot to mention to you that I wanted to bring up, because I feel as though there's a lot of players reaching out to me now simply because they're seeing that there's benefits, and I can tell them about the benefits: feeling awake, feeling alert, staying calm, because a lot of the time poor health will kind of bring your form down, basically. And I look at it now as me being that trailblazer from a health perspective, and making sure that everything is kind of in place. And on tour, our kind of diet is kind of messed up, if you must call it that, because we play late that night, and the only things that are open are kind of greasy food places. So yeah, making sure, and how important prep is, and all of these things, which fundamentally will make a successful dart player in the future. So yeah, if they need any tips on that as well, they can hit me up on social media.
Yeah, and that's a whole, like, I've had conversations about that. I think it's extremely important. I know that for a while there, the PDC and whoever was running darts, because there's been a couple of different things over the years. They wanted guys. I mean, you used to see guys smoking and drinking while they were playing. It was the idea that it was the average Joe that went to the bar was the pro, but it's different now. Dimitri Vandenberg and these guys right now, they're coming in, they're lean, they're keeping their health, they're keeping their weight down, and it matters. I mean, I'm sorry, Gerwin Price, whether you like him or not, he's a specimen. He's been in the sport a very short amount of time and accomplished incredible stuff because of his work ethic, and he's healthy. I love him. I just think, well, where is it? Here, I got to show you this. So this is one of my favorite pieces.
Fight
night.
Like fight night.
I love Gerwin. I think he's an incredible guy.
Playing for the sport, his box office, he's just amazing.
Yeah. So I would love to, maybe we can come back and have a conversation and talk about some of the health and the mental aspects. I'd love
Let's do that. Let's do it. You have me on speed dial if we ever need to kind of chew the fat and just chat about whatever you wanna look at. Yeah, but I think that is a segment on its own. Like where it's going to now. Like I probably got in essence about 9 players looking at the health side of it now, and I'm gonna send them some products and make sure that we get them on plans and stuff, because I feel $1 million, and I'm not I've not reached my goal yet, but I think that, like you say, Gerwyn Price achieved that simply because he's a specimen. He's healthy, his mind is healthy, and I could feel that for the first time for the last probably 2-3 weeks. I can feel like when I'm competing, I'm in a more clearer space. I'm waking up. I'm actually waking up, and I'm not like rolling out of bed feeling tired, because we're playing 3-4 days on the spin. So you're tired. It's just how it used to be. It's not like that anymore now. I'm feeling awake. I'm going to energized, ready to play, and just wanting to achieve.
So if there's an energy, not energy drink, but a healthy type thing out there right now that needs to sponsor someone, Devon's available. Get in touch,
yeah,
call me.
Let's go.
Get in touch with him, because you guys have a great guy that'll help spread this in the darts community. I mean, it's the way to go. Let's get
vitamins, minerals, anything, meal replacements. I'm that guy.
So yeah, well, I'll see what I can do. We'll try and get it out there.
Yeah, let's sort it.
Again, thank you so much for being on the show, and welcome to the shot. Team, these barrels are phenomenal. I'm going to go spend the rest of my life throwing these things. They're great. I appreciate you being on here. I'm going to definitely have to drag you back on and talk about some of this stuff. And if you end up in New York, or if I end up in a tournament where you're at,
I am actually going to be in New York as well.
Well, I'm going to see what I can do about making that happen then. So
yeah,
we'll figure it out. So, hey, thanks again so much for being on. I really appreciate you spending the time. I know it's evening time there for you. Thanks again. Good luck to the season. Again, much appreciated.
Cheers a lot. Thanks a lot, Matt. And I appreciate the support. And yeah, if Dylan is watching this, all the best. And I hope to see you on the tour soon, my man.
All right. Hey, don't jump off just right away. I'm going to go ahead and end it, and just give me just a sec. All right, guys. So that was Devon Petersen, and he did give a shout out to Dylan, which was awesome, and it's been great. We've been able to chat the last couple of days. Actually, some exciting things that we discussed, and some things that we've talked about trying to bring to the darts world. He's excited about America darts and darts going on over here and wanting to get involved. I do want to clarify a couple things as I listen to that. It kind of sounded like we don't have a youth program here with Champ Darts. We do have a youth program. Anthony Eugenia runs that. Aaron Quinn runs that with him, the two of them. So do want to mention that. So if you've got youths that want to play, it is available here in America on a high level through Champ Darts. So I want to throw that out there. But I know that Devon wants to really get involved with stuff here. I'm going to see if I can help bridge some of that, but he is excited about doing some stuff. Dax, I thought about you the whole time we were discussing all of that, and I would love to connect you guys. I talked to him briefly afterwards once he and I jumped off about you and just about bringing darts and making it more available here, and some of the things that he's done in South Africa to make it a bigger deal there. He kind of downloaded some of the stuff that he's been doing with the idea of kind of trying to grow the sport as a whole throughout the world. And we kind of have an initiative that he and I talked about, and I've got to discuss it with a few other people about bringing an initiative to help just bolster darts as a whole across the world. So great guy. He and I spent quite a bit more time actually just talking and hanging out, and he and I have been chatting since then. And just a really super, super cool guy, as you guys can see and hear there. I'm still just jacked up that I've gotten the opportunity to speak with him, because he's just such a good human being as well as darts player. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I do want to say and just let you guys know that unfortunately, this is a special edition because I kind of have to shut things down again for a little while, because all of this is being packed up literally today. As soon as I turn this off, I got to pack all up my gear and everything, because we are having a pod dropped off and everything will be in there, and I won't be able to set stuff back up until later. Now, I may use my laptop a little and not have as good quality of stuff, just because the fire is burning again. This is exciting. I love connecting with everybody, and I love getting to talk with some people. And we have a number of events coming up with Champ Darts starting soon, and they have been kind enough to say, hey, Matt, we would like you to work with us and kind of do some commentating type stuff, or some putting my face out there and talking with darts players. And so I really appreciate that. And like I mentioned at the beginning, Anthony and I quickly discussed trying to do a weekly show, or at least an every other week show, he and I and maybe some other people, in regards to just talking about what's going on within the darts community, but more purposefully in regard to what's going on with Champ Darts and darts here in the US. But with that, we will bring in some cool guests. We're working on it. I'll say that much. Hopefully that'll be coming soon, but do keep an eye out on the Champ Darts events that are happening. They're coming up. I think the first one is next month, and then we'll see them. Those do drive players to the PDC. And if you want to look at the Dutch Dragon, that really helped drive him within basically a couple of years of picking up darts and getting into the PDC. He's currently a tour card holder. So everybody, again, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. This has been a long show. I really appreciate everybody. Really love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging in here. And I will see you guys soon, but keep an eye out, keep a look at, and by the way, reviews on all 3 of these incredible barrels, which I do have right here. These are now available as of today, but look for reviews on these, or at least some up close looks. And I'll give you my opinion if I haven't already given you my opinion on them. They're awesome. Here in the next couple of days. So look for those. And I'm sure there's some the other reviewers out there that will be showing them off as well in great detail. So keep an eye out on those. Thanks again, everybody. And I will see you guys soon.